The Russian Federation has revealed a target for Ukrainian strikes. Putin's critically important factory has simply been leaked online. All the details are laid out in plain sight. Child slavery used to manufacture Shaheds. Drones made by teenagers are flying towards Ukraine. The enterprise doesn't have long left. Ukrainian forces have already paved the way for drones. The longest coal conveyor on Sakhalin has burned down. Belgorod region has been left without air defense. Ukraine's defense forces have struck. What high-value targets were eliminated? More on this coming up. Watch until the end. Hello, this is Ukraine Today. I'm Darina Hutsakalo, and here are the latest events. Russian television has for the first time shown the Shahed production plant in Tatarstan.
On air is military acceptance. We are now at the German production facility, which the general director described as this is the largest strike drone factory in the world and also the most secretive, but we'll show you something.
However, the Russians ended up showing absolutely everything, not just to the special correspondent. As a result, the video features the entire enterprise complex in all its glory, with workshops for assembling composite bodies, engine production, metal parts casting, as well as for manufacturing electronic circuits and wiring. The occupiers also revealed their student workers who actually live there. They even hire school children after the 9th grade to work. At the same time, the propagandists specifically emphasized that Alabuga's experience has been personally recognized and supported by Vladimir Putin.
Alabuga Polytechnic operates in Alabuga. A very good example and a much needed direction.
However, here's the catch. They wanted to showcase their initiative, but instead ended up facing criticism from their own people. Teenagers are becoming slaves and are forced to work for the Russian military-industrial complex. The publication Important Stories erupted with condemnation directed at the authorities.
In fact, according to the contract, the students are essentially in slavery. If a student is expelled, the parents are required to reimburse the college for the cost of their child's education. Moreover, underage female students from African countries were also being recruited to work in Alabuga. According to reports, they were intended to be assigned to low-skilled jobs as cleaners in the factories.
According to the main intelligence directorate, about 170 Shaheds are currently produced daily in Alabuga. And by the end of 2025, production is expected to increase to 190 units per day. So why are the Russians leaking videos online, so openly showcasing their capabilities? Could this really be bait for Ukrainian strikes? Expert Oleg Katkov is convinced that if Alabuga is not targeted, the enemy will be able to operate in greenhouse conditions. However, he admitted that attacking the facility is difficult. That's why.
There is a very powerful air defense position area there. At least in the footage, where Ukrainian drones do make it through, you can see the Pantsers in action. There are also Tors stationed there, and probably, I'm sure there are S-400S as well. There are strategic facilities there. It's a triangle. This is the Alabuga Industrial Economic Zone. Right next to it is the Kama Hydroelectric Power Station, and a bit further east are Naberezhnya Chelny, where Kamaz is located.
Nevertheless, this doesn't stop our forces from hitting that infamous plant. Ukrainian drones recently set it ablaze in full force. Alabuga was in an uproar. The local authorities were genuinely frightened. Putin was ready to fire everyone. The sounds of desperate gunfire and, as usual, the Russian air defense's inability to repel the drone attack.
There.
The head of Tatarstan reported that during the neutralization of the UAV, its debris fell on the checkpoint building of the car factory in the Alabuga district, as a result of fire of unprecedented scale. Of course, he didn't mention the destruction of the factory producing deadly Shaheds.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
It became known that in June, the Alabuga Economic Zone was attacked by A-22 Flying Fox UAVs carrying suspended FAB aerial bombs. Shocking details of their route right now.
The drone was flying from the northwest side. This is evidenced by footage from the engineering equipment factory. As it approached the main workshops of Alabuga Polytechnic, it dropped an aerial bomb. The target was likely the academic building, but due to the drone's imperfections, the aerial bomb fell nearby in the factory workers' parking lot.
The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine confirmed that the Shahed manufacturing plant got what it deserved.
One of the sites producing strike UAVs was hit. It has been confirmed that the munitions reached the target area. The results are being clarified.
Meanwhile, in Russia, a real barrage of failures has begun. Could it be that someone jinxed them? On Sakhalin, the longest coal conveyor in Russia burned down.
Zhenya, get out of there! Get out!
The flames engulfed more than 200 meters of structures in the Uglegorsky district near the village of Mikilske.
The conveyor was scheduled to be launched in the third quarter of this year. The cause of the fire was reportedly a technical malfunction of the equipment. Experts will determine the exact details after conducting an inspection. Meanwhile, Ukraine's defense forces are adding fuel to the fire. They have delivered a series of successful strikes against the enemy in various locations. At the epicenter of the inferno is the Belgorod region. With long-range firepower, a Russian S-300P surface-to-air missile system was successfully struck in the Belgorod region of the Russian Federation, which has significantly reduced the coverage area of Russian long-range air defense systems in the region. What's more, our forces also struck the Nibo-M radar complex. The Russians are already starting to panic. Such strikes directly undermine Russia's ability to project power, cover its troops, and maintain the illegal occupation of Ukrainian territory. Right now, Ukrainian defenders are giving the Russians hell on the front line as well. The occupiers keep trying to push into our territory, get beaten back, and then try to break through again. However, the armed forces of Ukraine are holding strong. The battle map is changing by the hour. What is happening on the front line right now? What operations have our forces managed to carry out, and where does the enemy still have the advantage? Watch further to find out.
The thing is, the target appears on the radar and sometimes just shows up as unidentified, displaying its scatter area, altitude and speed.
The fighter with the call sign BU has only a few seconds to power up all the equipment and take to the sky. The radars have detected unknown wings, likely enemy reconnaissance drones.
Honestly, it's really hard to spot the target. It's a small white target flying just above the rooftops. So, you're not going to see something like a Kamaz truck suddenly driving across the sky. Sometimes you might only see the target as a tiny dot, maybe gray or white, just a small speck, like a little star that can blend in above the rooftops. So it's much harder to spot.
This is the crew of the Interceptor platoon. With these, at first glance, ordinary FPV drones, the soldiers destroy enemy reconnaissance and strike drones in the skies over Donetsk region.
To do this, we modify them a bit. We install our own initiation board, larger batteries, and a special warhead that's better suited for aerial targets.
The guys have been flying for over a month now. They completed piloting courses and immediately took to the skies. They say there's plenty of work to do.
Hit. Right here, all of this lake, somewhere in this area. We took out a Zala. But before that, it was adjusting fire at around 4:30 in the morning. A shed hit the farm, and it was above it. Either adjusting fire or just like recording the strike on video. It flew here.
But during this flight, they weren't able to shoot anything down. That happens sometimes, the defenders say. Not only enemy drones can be in the air, but also our own. So the radars detect everyone, and then the pilot and navigator themselves identify the target and determine whether it's friend or foe. In almost a year, this platoon has managed to shoot down more than 200 different Russian drones over the Donetsk region. These include expensive Russian Zala drones, Supercam drones, and budget FPV drones.
I think the enemy would have continued to fly with impunity in our area and conduct their reconnaissance. But by destroying so many reconnaissance UAVs, we seriously hindered their ability to fly, observe our logistics routes, and locate our artillery.
The Interceptors also destroyed Geran drones, caught up with fiber optic drones, and even brought down Shaheds.
Yeah, well, this one is already completely ready, pretty much. They immediately swap in a charged battery so that later, when it's time to take off, they can quickly turn it on and launch. And it's already got explosives on it, right? Is that what's lying there? Yeah, explosives and a detonator cap. But they only connected directly right before, well, for safety reasons, just before takeoff.
The cost of such a drone is about 30,000 hryvnias. Meanwhile, it destroys enemy targets worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. For example, the Russian reconnaissance drone Zala cost 200,000 and the Supercam up to $500,000. But most importantly, it saves the lives of our defenders. Now the Russians cannot fly freely, reconnoiter, and adjust their fire as they could at the start of a full-scale invasion. Oleg Kornienko, ICTV Fact, the only news. Will Ukrainian forces please us tomorrow with powerful strikes on the Shahed factory in Alabuga? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button under the video and stay up to date with the main news. There are already more than 440,000 of us subscribed. More to come. See you soon!